Ego, Slendy, Ego, Slendy, hey, you already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. But you know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 530 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here. It is December 4th, 2023. Also got fellow Padres fan Jacob Redondo on the show. He's been on the show once before. We used to play baseball together. Feels like such a long time ago. But it's fun to have him on. He is obviously a passionate Padres fan and passionate about this Juan Soto discussion, and the winter meetings are underway. So there's a lot of different questions to get into here about Juan Soto. And if you're live here on YouTube, you can leave your comments there in the chat, questions, comments. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Jacob, thanks so much for joining the show. First, wanted to just talk about how much you've been passionate about this subject, and what do you think the Padres need to get back here for Juan Soto? I think that's really the best question to start, because I think that he's going to get dealt. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, I've come to the conclusion that he's going to get traded. Obviously, I think we all have, and it's a tough bullet to bite. But I think they just really need to get the best package possible, and that's obviously easy to say. But yeah, I mean, some of these packages the Yankees fans come up with have been it's driving me crazy, and I think that's why you probably wanted me on the show, because I've been getting in arguments with Yankee fans on Twitter and Instagram, and they think they've got the next coming of Nolan Ryan and Michael King with 2 years of control. Like, I don't see how you could sell it to a fan base to trade a 25-year-old superstar for a 28-year-old Seth Lugo, pretty much. Like, I know
that's where I was at the beginning. My thought process, especially at the start of the offseason, was like, you can't sell it to the Padres fan base that you're trying to go all in and win the World Series when you're not going to have Blake Snell. You're not going to have Josh Hader. Probably not going to have Lugo, Waka. You're not going to have Martinez. We know that now. Not going to have Juan Soto. I get it. We have a talented still core of players here, but you can't sell it that you're still trying to go all in and win without those pieces. But realizing the circumstances, and it seems like ownership, because AJ Preller doesn't want to trade Juan Soto. Like, hopefully people understand that he doesn't want to trade Juan Soto.
Right.
You'd have to be an idiot if you want to trade Juan Soto. So I think it's ownership that's saying, hey, $200 million, that's the number that we want to get around, and Major League Baseball as well, there, because there's the debt service stuff, the rules that they have there to try to get the Padres payroll to be back down where it's more manageable, and it makes sense. I guess they're trying to look out for the Padres. Yeah, I'm at the point where I understand that the more complete roster is to trade Juan Soto. You can get major league pieces back, hopefully, and hopefully you can get some young pieces back that can help you maybe in the future as well. You're not going to bring them back long term. Build more of a complete roster. If you deal Juan Soto, that opens up $30+ million, and then you subtract that with who comes back in the deal, you're still going to have a lot more room to work with to add pieces, because there's a lot of things that need to be done with this team, and you wouldn't be able to accomplish that with Juan Soto still on the roster.
Right, and I agree. And just the frustrating thing for me, and I think for everyone that's a Padre fan, is just the fact that, like, this situation was so avoidable.
Yeah.
And they made their own bed, and I don't really know whose decision it was to give out these monster contracts, but I was listening to John and Jim, and they say it best is your main priority should have been to keep Juan Soto once you got him, especially for 3 years. Like, we all figured that he was going to be here for the 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And they very easily, and it didn't seem likely at the time, but they very easily could have extended him if they played their cards right. And they
could they have, though? Like, because, okay, yeah, if they offer him, $550 million, but a reasonable extension offer, could they have actually extended him? Because it seems like to me his mind has always been set, or Boris's mind, I guess, always been set on going to free agency. That's the question. I'm someone that thinks that, like AJ Preller, he's gotten enough opportunities, but considering the circumstances, he's the best guy to run the job right now, considering everything that has happened. But it just feels like to me they were trying to win it all in 2023, and they wanted to get the best offense possible, and they thought Judge was that. They thought Trey Turner was that. That didn't happen. So their mind was set on, yes, we're bringing in a big free agent. And if we can't sign Juan Soto, well, at least we have Xander Bogaerts, we have Tatis, we have Manny, we have this core of players here. We can't control what Juan Soto thinks and what he wants to do, what Scott Boras wants to do. It's not a guarantee that we can bring Juan Soto back, even if we offer him $500 million.
Right.
Can't control that. What we can control is bringing Xander Bogaerts in, because we're going to blow everyone else out of the water on this offer, and that's what they decided to do. And then Manny Machado, sure, some Padres fans will be like, that was too much. Peter Seidler jumped in there, which it's been reported about. Like he's the one that jumped in there. Some people in the front office were willing to wait. Maybe that would have been the smart move, but I think we can all agree we wanted Manny Machado here long term. So anyone that wants to, be yelling about that, I think that you're just looking at hindsight and you're like, oh, Manny had a down year. Oh, Soto's going to have to be dealt. We wanted Manny here long term. And I think they wanted to try to win, and they wanted to secure another big time player. They couldn't secure Juan Soto. So that's what they decided to do. Now, the Darvish thing, we can talk about that. The Cronenworth thing, we can talk about that. But I think they just tried to guarantee that they'd still have another superstar here. They couldn't guarantee that with Soto at the time.
Right. And see, I'm one of the fans that I'm totally cool with Machado, that contract. It's gonna look great either way in 10 years. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to be one of the only players to get 3,000 hits and like 500 home runs. Like there's only a select few that can do that. And the thing for me is, like, I think if they're giving out $400 million contract offers to Judge, that easily could have gone to Soto. And I keep going back and forth on it. Like, I obviously think there's probably an 80 to 90% chance they trade Soto. And the thing for me is, like, if you extended Soto, you don't actually have to win in 2024. I know it sounds like frustrating for fans, but it opens a window if you have him and Tatis, and obviously you'll have Machado as well and Bogaerts, but you have that window of like 10 to 15 years of where you could win. You don't have to win in 2024. And I would rather have that 10-year window than the 1-year window or 2-year window with Michael King as the return.
Yeah. Because that's an interesting point. You talk about the Judge offer, and Padres are willing to give, way more than the Yankees were willing to give. The same thing with like Trey Turner. Like there was a lot of money that they offered there, not at the same level as Judge. So the Judge money, you're saying, could have gone to Soto. But again, I go to, well, it wasn't a guarantee that he would have signed that extension. I feel like his mind was so set on going to free agency. He already turned down 440. And so are the Padres, were the Padres going to sit there and say, yeah, Juan, we'll give you $550 million to make you say, no, I'm not going to free agency? Because even if they would have offered him $500 million, he's a confident guy. Boras is a confident guy. Boras is seeing, and I'm sure Soto's seeing it as well, the market for these guys, the money keeps going up. So they're just seeing that. They're seeing that Ohtani's going to sign for whatever he's going to sign for. And he's totally a different guy than Soto, but they're going to bring that up. And they're going to try to compare it to Ohtani and the money that these guys are getting. And so I just felt like it just wasn't a guarantee, and the Padres went with the guarantee.
Right. And I mean, last year at this time, it was just so different, because I think you could compare their lineup the way it was structured at one point. It was like when we played the Phillies in the NLCS, it felt like the first 5 batters were just like, how do we get these guys out? And then it dropped off. And I think that's what they were kind of looking to do. And like on paper, it looked great, but obviously it backfired. But yeah, man, it's just, this whole situation is just frustrating. Yeah.
Let's talk about Jason Dominguez. So Dominguez or no deal. I feel like that's a lot of Padres fans, or, social media is not all Padres fans. I understand that, but there's a lot of people that are out there saying Dominguez or no deal, Dominguez or it's not happening. To me, that's just unrealistic. I think Spencer Jones is more realistic. I still think that's a little unrealistic. I get it's Juan Soto, but the Yankees do have a valid argument when they can say, yeah, it's 1 year of Juan Soto, and you want us to take on Trent Grisham, which it's not that much money and it's only 2 years, but still you guys want to take that on. You want us to take that on. So that's going to lessen the return as well. And this isn't a situation where it was 3 years of Soto or even 2 years. If it was 2 years, then I think the Padres would definitely have more of an argument to ask for someone like Jason Minguez or ask for someone like Spencer Jones. But in this case, I get it. The Padres do have some leverage, but I feel like the other teams have more leverage here because they see the Padres and they're like, they've got to trade Soto if they want more of a complete roster. What, they're
Right.
just going to waste a year of Manny's prime and Musgrove and all that? They're just going to waste that? No, they're going to try to get more of a complete roster. I think those other teams see that, yeah, they're going to trade Soto. Ownership is almost telling them they have to trade Soto if you want a complete roster here. We're giving you a number, how much you can spend. Maybe that's coming from Major League Baseball as well. And now the Padres have to go make the most out of it. And so I think other teams see that and they're like, no, we're not going to give you Dominguez. We're not going to give you Spencer Jones. We're going to give you this. And you're asking for way too much. It's a negotiation. So
Right.
this is just what's going to happen. I'm not surprised by it, not no activities really happening right now with this. Not surprised, but Dominguez or no deal. I want that to be out of Padre fans' heads because I just think that's unrealistic. Where do you stand on that?
I mean, obviously, I would like Dominguez, but yeah, I mean, it is kind of unrealistic, especially if they're asking the Yankees to take on Grisham, which
Yeah.
I don't understand why you would do that in a Soto deal because I think you could get pitching for Grisham. Like now, you're not going to get a star. You're maybe getting a fifth starter for Grisham, but there's someone out there that could take Grisham. I do think Grisham's a good player, just not in San Diego because we don't know how to fix players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if he's on Tampa, he's hitting 20 bombs. He's gonna have like an 850 OPS, something like that.
I
But
mean, even on a team like the Yankees with the short porch, like that guy
right,
could. I mean, there's that at Petco too, especially in the corner. But yeah, it feels like he's more of a fit somewhere else. And so yeah, I do see him being moved. I just think that that could lessen the return a little bit, and I
oh
think
yeah,
you
and
wanna maximize the return.
right, and the Nationals were smart a few years ago when they were trading with us. Is they didn't include Patrick Corbin if they
Yeah.
wanted to, they could have, but they got their max return, and our return is already going to be diminished because of the 1 year rental. Even though I think he would sign a huge extension with the Yankees anyways. Um, but yeah, adding Grisham, even though it's only $6 million, I don't think that's smart either, and that takes away from your package, obviously.
Do we think that the Padres are, like, set on Jung-Hoo Lee, so that's why they're thinking about trying to move Grish? Like, or 1, they're over it and they're just ready to move on, and 2, they're thinking they're gonna deal Soto, that'll open up room, and then they can go get someone like Jung-Hoo Lee to play center field. They have Tatis and right. They can add, a 1-year deal guy to play left field, and that's just how they'll go about it, and hopefully they got pitching back in the deal.
See, I'm hoping they're not relying on the fact that they're gonna get Jung Ho Lee. I mean, he's got good numbers in Korea, but we saw that it takes a few years to transition.
Yeah.
Uh, like for Ha-Sung Kim, it's just like getting an expensive prospect, in my opinion. When you have guys like Jacob Marcy in the minor leagues, he just won Arizona Fall League MVP.
Yeah.
Um, you have a guy that's really similar, and I'm not sure if Jung Ho Lee won like MVPs over there or whatnot, but
I think he won 3. Or no.
right,
I think he won, like, 3 Gold Gloves. I saw MLB post about this. I think he won 1 MVP. He was hitting 340, had a OPS almost 900, but again, that's not in Major League Baseball, so it's a
right.
question mark for sure.
Like Ha-Sung Kim won an MVP over there too. And the thing with Jung Ho Lee is he has no power, I don't think, right?
Yeah.
And see, that comes back to where it could put us in the situation where we look at a contract like, did you really need to pay this guy X amount of money, or when you had this, you know what I mean? And you have prospects in the minor leagues. I mean, I hear people say that the Padres have nothing. They don't have nothing. I watch these guys in Lake Elsinore all the time. I keep up with their stats in Fort Wayne and San Antonio. Jacob Marcy had a really good year, and he's a college guy, so he's going to be uh, he'll be a little bit more ready than like a high school guy. Like he's faced better competition, and he proved it in the Arizona Fall League.
Yeah, and then they have guys like Graham Pauley, just had him on the show recently, like Padres minor leaguer of the year, I believe.
Yeah,
Guys
I'm a
that
big fan
are
of Pauly.
developing. I think that maybe some fans aren't realizing, or there's some fans like I'm not going to expect everyone to know about the minor league system, so I understand if
Right,
people are like
right,
only go for major league pieces. But at some point here, we're going to have these guys come up
right.
because we have these long-term contracts, and the payroll's not going to be $250 million every year. I mean, we're seeing it this year with it going to be 200 million. At least that's the target.
Right, and I do like Grant Pauly a lot. I think they tried to move him to like a corner outfield spot for part of the year last year. He's mainly a third baseman, but yeah, he's got really good power. I watched him a lot in Lake Elsinore, and he kind of reminds me of like a Brandon Lau with the
Okay.
Rays. So yeah, I'm a fan of him. See, that's like what I'm trying to say is like I think we have pieces. I would invest in pitching with money, I guess. Especially if you're going to trade Soto, go get pitching.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Who do you think has the leverage here? I know there's some Padres fans that are saying the Padres have all the leverage because they don't have to trade Juan Soto.
Right.
But I'm like, okay, sure, you don't have to trade Juan Soto, but good luck constructing a pitching staff then. Good luck having more of a complete roster then. Juan Soto's a great player, but look how much money he's making. Look at all the holes that you have. Other teams see that, and they see that the Padres are trying to win. They want to contend in 2024. So, look, there's surprise teams every year. I'm not like there's teams that you don't think about, oh, they're not going to be a contender, and then they're a contender, and then they go make it to the World Series. But you look at those teams, and they had good pitching performances from their players. Some guys stepped up that we didn't really know about, but then there's guys at the top of the rotation that everyone knows about. So, like, you have to have that, and the depth's just not there with the pitching staff. And so it goes back to the complete roster thing, and other teams realize that about the Padres. So, sure, the Padres have some leverage because they're the team that has Juan Soto, but I don't think they have more leverage than other teams in this.
Right. I think the Padres have a little bit more leverage than they're getting credit for. Um, Obviously, the fact that they do have Juan Soto and multiple teams are in on him, like the Blue Jays and whoever. There's over 20 teams that would want Juan Soto, and taking on $30 million isn't that big of a deal for another team besides the Padres. And the other reason I would say the Padres have more leverage is because Preller's on the hot seat, and he's gonna have to do something to win now. And I don't know if see the hard thing is like with the package that they want is they can't get a bunch of young guys because they have to win now, right? But they do have the leverage because he could keep Soto and just diminish the farm and just go get Burns, like
Yeah,
if I mean you can't take your prospects with you if you're fired, is what I'm trying to say.
right. But how much is Corbin Burns projected to make this year?
I think it's 13 million.
Okay, so that's already over 200 right there. I'm
Right.
not saying they can't go over 200, but
Right.
Corbin Burns is one guy. So now
Mhm.
you have Burns, you have Musgrove, you have Darvish. Okay, let's say Avila's 5 or Waldron's 5. You want Avila and Waldron being 4 and 5. Iriarte, would he be ready for the beginning of the season? I'm not so sure.
He
Like,
kind of he kind of projects as a reliever anyways.
yeah. So what about someone like Adam Mazur? Is that someone that's ready for the beginning of the season?
No, and I mean a lot of these guys are going to be ready by next year, but you know, that's obviously like next year, I mean like 2025.
Right. Yeah, and that's not what should be AJ Preller's priority again, because I think he knows this too. I don't think Eric Kutsenda and Eric Grupner are as high on him as Peter Seidler was. There was no one
Right.
higher on AJ Preller than Peter
Right.
Seidler, and it's unfortunate, obviously, what happened.
Mhm.
Um, but like it's just the change of circumstances. He's going to tell the media, right? When he talks to the media today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Schilt, I think, is talking Tuesday.
Mhm.
Someone asks him about his job. Does that add more pressure? He's just going to give the answer that we all expect because he doesn't say anything. But maybe his mind does change a little bit. And yeah, he's willing to part with some guys in the farm. But I think he also realizes that he has a talented team. And if this team can win in 2024 and, make the postseason and go deep, win a series. Maybe he stays still. Schilt maybe stays for 2025, and then those guys could come up. And if you trade those guys, they're not coming up, and then Corbin Burns is gone in for agency, let's say.
Right.
And then now what happens in 2025? I don't know what their payroll looks like going into 2025 right now, but there's probably more room to spend then. But it's just a lot of things that AJ obviously has to be looking at and asking, looking at himself in the mirror really and saying, okay, what's really the best thing for me to do in this spot? Preller, him attaching Grish like we talked about with this deal. I think, like, what's the better thing? Them attaching Grish to a Yankee deal, let's say, with Soto, or you maximize the return for Soto from the Yankees and you trade Grish to another team. But what would you get back from that other team? Like, is that other team giving you pitching, let's say, that is better than what the Yankees could give you in pitching?
Well,
but
I think you could get like a project type starting like a number 5 for Grisham. I really do. Because being a Gold Glove center fielder, especially 2 times, is valuable in this league. Plus, he has power.
Could they get, let's say, Alek Manoah for Trent Grisham? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
No shot. And see, that's another. I'm glad you brought that up because I would rather trade with the Blue Jays for Alek Manoah than get Michael King from the Yankees.
Because Manoah is under more control?
Yeah, and I mean, what was he?
You believe in the upside because
he was like a top
he's
3
been a
Cy Young
starter
guy 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's already been a starter. You're relying that King can transition into a starter. And yes, I know he was a starter for September last year.
Yeah,
I don't know a ton about him, but you're hoping that he could continue that. And we saw how it went with Waka and Lugo last year, where they had really good moments, right? But they had struggle with the longevity of the season. Because Waka, I want to say, missed at least like a month or a month and a half.
Yeah.
Lugo
with the calf, that was a little more extended than what we thought it was going to be.
But yeah, I would rather just get like Manoah is like, I think I looked it up right before we started. He's controlled until 2028. Michael King is till
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. So, yeah, if you could get a guy like Manoah, especially it's easy to like revamp a career in San Diego when you're a pitcher because the ballpark is horrible to hit in, especially in the first 2 months of the year. So,
yeah. Moving, I want to hit on Ohtani because not Padres signing Ohtani, which was ridiculous. Whoever fan put that Ohtani Boulevard thing or whatever up there, that was, I don't know if that's photoshopped or if that's real. That's pretty crazy. Maybe that was a Dodger fan trolling. I don't know. But with Ohtani, should the Padres wait? That's the main title here of this episode. Should the Padres wait for Ohtani to sign before trading Soto? Because if he signs with the team, I'm expecting it to be the Dodgers. I'm fully prepared for that. If it's the Dodgers, then the Yankees, they're still going to be desperate for Soto. The Mariners, I don't really believe that they would get Soto. But a team like the Cubs, would they enter in? The Blue Jays, would they be more desperate for someone like Soto? Because if with the Blue Jays, it was Soto, Ohtani. And both are DH both can be DH. Those are your big bat, a guy that can hit over 30 home runs. If you don't get Ohtani, you're still looking for that. There's nobody in free agency that gives you that.
Right.
That is left. So, but also, the question is, if the Padres wait for Ohtani to sign, and there are other teams that they want a big impact bat, are they going to actually be more desperate? Like, I feel like they're still going to be measured. Like, if you're the Padres, another risk is who knows when Ohtani's going to sign.
Right.
I don't believe reports out there about anything really about Ohtani because Ohtani and Bolello, they're keeping everything so wrapped and under wraps. At least they're trying to. I just don't really believe reports that are out there. Like Morosi, it's not like I don't like John Morosi or don't like these reporters, but anyone that says, oh, expected to sign in the next week, who is that? Who are you talking to? You're talking to just GMs at the winter meetings that aren't involved in these talks. Even if you're talking to someone involved in the talks, how do they know? Like Shohei Ohtani is just so different, I feel like, from these other cases that we don't know. So he could sign in 2 weeks. And then you could have starters coming off the board And I saw some people on social media saying, well, it's not like they're going to go after Yamamoto. So, yeah, they can wait. Lugo could sign today. He could sign tomorrow.
Yeah,
Walker could sign
I
today,
think if
tomorrow.
you're I think if you're concerned with filling out your roster, you need to get rid of Soto as soon as possible. But if
Yeah.
you're concerned with getting the best package, you should wait. Um, that's just really the decision they have to make. And if they think they can afford to wait, which I don't think they really can, if they want to fill out the roster, especially free agency, it really just depends the route they want to go. Do they want to make trades or do they want to sign guys? And obviously, the more expensive route is to sign guys. So they might wait it out to get the best package possible. Um, we'll just have to see. It's
What do
just
you want?
it's
What do you
it's
want to see the Padres do after Soto, though?
they're gonna have to get pitching, and then they're gonna have to find diamonds in the rough for the outfield. And I was looking at some guys. There's guys out there that could like fill the spots in the outfield. Um, that's not really what I'm concerned with. What I'm concerned with is just finding arms because Darvish is aging, Musgrove's coming off of a shoulder injury, and then you pretty much have nothing after that. I'm cool with Avila and Waldron like fighting for the final spot because I think they both deserve that shot. But yeah, you're gonna have to have starters number 3 and 4.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the starters now. It's just a tricky spot that the Padres are in because I think that one of the starters they go get is someone on a 1-year deal, someone
Right.
with upside, someone like a Jack Flaherty. Then there's others like Martin Perez, but how many years is he going to get? And market value, according to Spot Track, is a little less than $11 million. That's a pretty good amount, but that's pretty much what even these 1-year deals, 2-year deals, Kenta Maeda, guys like that already signed. That's
Mhm.
pretty much what they're signing for. Lance Lynn, what he got, right? So
Right.
it's just if the Padres want to go get a couple starters, you're going to be spending $20+ million on that, even if both of them are 1-year upside plays. Even, Corey Kluber, what is he going to get? Maybe he gets less than 10, but because I know his year was disappointing last year, but even them, that's just the way that this starting pitching market is right now. And then if you go to someone like Lugo, that's someone that's going to get probably 3 years, maybe 4, and that's going to be over $10 million easily per year. Walker's going to be over $10 million per year. So it's just it's in an interesting spot. And so that's why I think it's so important to maximize that return for Soto to get starting pitching, because that starting pitching you get back is going to be less than $10 million a year. And that
Right.
can help you build out the roster more.
And that's why I say like they could wait to get the best package, and it won't hurt them. The sooner they trade them, the more likely they are to go the free agency route, which I don't see is possible with the debt issues or whatever. So if they want to save money, they're gonna have to do it through trades, and that's why I'm like not really keen on trading Grisham with Soto, even though like I just can't wrap my head around why you would want to trade Grisham with Soto, unless if the Yankees are asking for him because they're gonna have to fill a spot in center field while Dominguez is out because he's
And that
not
would be
doing
it would be a cheaper Kevin Kiermaier.
right.
And they might think that Michael A. Taylor, maybe they don't like him, or they think that he's just going to go back to the Minnesota Twins
Right.
or get a better offer than they're willing to give him. And so they just want to go with, hey, we get multiple years of control with Grish. It's $6 million, a little more next year. Bottom of the order. He can hit home runs for you.
Yeah, there's upside with Grisham. I mean, I could see how frustrating. Believe me, I get frustrated with Trent Grisham too. But I see the potential there. I see why they keep running him out there. And he had the clutch gene in the playoffs. I don't know where
Yeah.
that came from, but
Yeah. Let's go to the manager hiring. I haven't been able to speak with you since then. About Schilt, I think that was the safest move. I think it was the right move considering the circumstances. We cannot be a fan of AJ Preller. There's a lot of people that aren't fans of AJ Preller and they want him gone, but you can't change that.
right.
I wanted someone that had the relationship with him, and I didn't think Flaherty was ready for it. And now Flaherty goes to the Cubs, obviously. So Schilt was that guy. I'm interested to see. That's one of the questions that I had yesterday going into these winter meetings. What is the coaching staff going to look like? Is there going to be any news on that? Because I thought the coaching staff would have been filled out before the winter meetings happened. I think the Mets just officially announced their coaching staff, so it
Right.
could be coming to a close. But with Schilt, I think it was the right move. I think it was um, the move that I think would still have players excited to play for that manager, and they
Right.
know Mike Schilt, and I think that and the Preller relationship is just as important. It feels like as Schilt's relationship with the players as well.
Yeah, I really like Mike Schill actually. Honestly, I think the Padres need like Bob Melvin's a good manager, obviously. But I think the Padres just needed a different voice because clearly what Bob Melvin was trying to do last year was not working. I mean, how many team meetings did they have um, that just didn't work? I mean, we started laughing at him at some point.
Yeah,
And the thing with Mike Schilt is, I remember that series where Tyler O'Neill went off. You remember in 2021 where we got swept by the Cardinals.
Emilio Pagan. Yep.
Yep. I remember it was a Friday game. Tyler O'Neill hit like a go-ahead 3-run home run or something like that, and you saw Mike Schilt celebrating in the dugout with his players. And I remember Mud was saying the Padres need a manager like that, where the players will run through a wall for him, and that's what we're getting in Mike Schilt, I think. So I think that's what they need. Guys like Manny he's a fiery guy, you know.
Mhm.
And although Bob Melvin is a good manager and he had 2 winning seasons with the Padres, how many managers could say that? Not many. I just think they needed a different voice, really.
And I feel like Schilt is more committed to the Padres. I mean, clearly
Right.
more committed to the Padres than Bomo was. And if they were winning, Bomo would be committed to the Padres. Like I understand that. But yeah, like I want that full commitment. And this is obviously looking back now, but that pissed me off at the press conference when Bomo was talking about how, yeah, every time I came to San Francisco, I would look over at the other side of the dugout. It's like, that's not who I want a part of my organization. I want
Yeah,
people that are
and that
committed.
made me move on from Bob Melvin right there.
Yeah, that's like, okay, whatever. Like
Give me a
that's
guy
I
that's
want
hungry. Give me a guy that's hungry to win for San Diego, and I think Mike Schilt is that guy because I think he went. Did he correct me if I'm wrong? But he went to the postseason 3 out of 3 times
yes.
when he was with the Cardinals, and
Yep.
then he loses his job for that. I think he's
Yeah.
hungry to win.
And
And I think a lot of these guys are.
there was the philosophical differences, and I understand people viewing that as a negative, like John Mozeliak with the Cardinals. Oh, we weren't agreeing. And Schilt was calling out Mozeliak in a meeting, I think. That was like the behind the scenes thing. And it wasn't with Mozeliak in the room, it was just like a coaching staff meeting.
Right.
But I'm like, shouldn't that be a good thing? Is not, yeah, you should confront Mozeliak if you disagree with them in person. And I'm sure that they were going to do that. But you should express your opinion. If you disagree, express your opinion. And Preller hinted that at the presser, or one of the Zooms that he did, I think before, like when the manager search was just getting going, about how what pisses him off or pisses the Padres off when people they're given the opportunity to say something in the room, they
And
don't
then you
say
become
it,
a yes
and
man.
then yeah, and then well, no, not that, but they leave the room and then they say it. It's
Right.
like, no, say it to me, say it in the room. Like we want that discussion. And Schilt, I feel like, is that guy. People can say, oh, it's another yes man. I don't see it that way. He is someone that can express his opinion. I think that right now they have the good relationship. And I think that will help. Having the previous relationship will help for a couple years that they had a relationship. And I think that's a good thing where you didn't have that with Bob Melvin. Schilt knows what he's getting into. And I think he was more committed to this Padres team than Bob Melvin was. So yeah, I
Right.
think that this was the right move. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. There's some times where I thought it was the right move and it doesn't work out. There's some signings that you feel like it's the right move and it doesn't work out. But I feel like the Padres are in a good spot with Schilt. Who do you think should be the bench coach, hitting coach? I think those are the only two, or maybe third base. Yeah, third base coach because Williams left. Who do you think should be in those roles?
I mean, I don't even really know. To be honest, with hitting coach is kind of just like I've kind of lost interest in it because
Yeah,
we do a new one each year. I mean, Adrian would be cool, Adrian Gonzalez,
yeah,
because obviously he was like our favorite players growing up. But yeah, really just. I mean, I would love a guy like Chili Davis, but I don't know like what hitting contracts are under or what hitting coaches are under contract and whatnot.
right.
Uh, so
Yeah, I think Phil Nevin's an interesting name. some of the guys, Benji Gill obviously is a name that gets brought up. And those would be interesting for sure. I just don't know how Schilt would feel about those guys because they were in the manager search. So if something goes wrong, do the Padres? I don't think they would quickly pull the trigger like that on Schilt.
Yeah.
At least I hope that they wouldn't do that.
I think Schilt's safe for the whole year. I really think this is really a 1-year contract, to be honest.
Yeah, him and Preller, right?
Right. I think they're tied together. If it's a failure again, they're both gone. They're just going to clean house. And start over pretty much. But
yeah, that's what it feels like.
The thing is, if you get like Benji Gill or Phil Nevin as the bench coach, like you wonder like how they'll feel. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're interviewing for the same job. Now Schilt's your boss, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
that was kind of the thing with Flaherty, right? Where it feels like it was, okay, pick me or pick him, and the other guy's not staying. Maybe Schilt would have stayed in an advisory role, but he was not going to be on the coaching staff. Right. I don't think he would be taking orders from Ryan Flaherty. All right, let's go to the chat here. Main sponsor of the show, Gaglione Bros, famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries. Main location on Friars Road. Best cheesesteaks, garlic fries in San Diego. They're at Snapdragon Stadium and Petco Park. Let's see here. Summon Substance says, if we can't afford Soto, why are we even thinking about signing Ohtani? We're not thinking about signing Ohtani. Have you seen anywhere about the Padres thinking about signing Ohtani? That was last offseason where we were dreaming about that, and that was before Bogarts happened. I think once that happened, it was kind of like, okay, it's not going to happen. And then when we hear about the $50 million loan and all that stuff and the lowering of payroll, no one's thinking about that. I feel like that was someone trolling. Or someone that's just not paying attention at all, and they just see Ohtani's available, and they're like, hey, Padres, go get him.
Yeah, they're not getting Ohtani, and it's actually surprising that they're like not even like rumored. Like they're usually in on everybody.
Well, John Heyman put Ohtani in the same paragraph with the Padres. Like the Padres continue to be linked. That was like this past week, and that made me laugh because there's no way that the Padres are signing Ohtani. Preston says here, I think AJ is going to trade Soto as a backup plan. That's not his preference. No, it's not his preference. He doesn't want to trade Soto again, but in order to build more of a complete roster, trading Soto, it feels like, is necessary. Like, good luck constructing a almost complete as you can get it without Soto on your team. Good luck constructing that with $11 million of room.
Right. Yeah.
Just in baseball, it's not 1980 anymore. Like the contracts just cost way too much.
The same way they talk about Preller wanting Ohtani like as his white whale. I'm pretty sure Soto is pretty close to the exact same thing.
So it was him and Ohtani. Yeah, that's his two.
This is killing AJ as much as it's killing us, probably. So
yeah, for sure. Devin says here, Blue Jays are apparently the new favorite to land Soto. Yeah, that's according to Hector Gomez. You can take that for what it's worth. Alec Manoah was a name that was brought up. What do you think, Ben? Should the Padres take on Manoah? Yeah, I'd like Manoah. He has the upside. It wasn't that long ago that he was a very good pitcher. He was an all-star. He was on the mic in the all-star game and just shoving. Like, yeah, the personality, it's great. I just don't know if the Blue Jays are willing to give that up. In a Soto deal, I think they would.
Right.
But how much on top of that? Like, I don't know if you're getting Manoah and Tiedemann, number one pitching prospect, and then you're going to give someone that the Blue Jays probably still want to see still pitch for them in their rotation and end up being a key part of their rotation. And he's not making much money, under control. So the Blue Jays don't want to give up on him, and they don't want to trade Ricky Tiedemann either. So it feels like it's a one or the other in that deal. And what else are you going to get in that deal? Because you're not just going to get one of those guys and that's it. Like, you're going to need more for, even if it's just 1 year of Soto, you're going to need more than that.
Right. And the Yankees do have the better farm system. And the thing with the Yankees that you could hold against them is, they're going to re-sign Soto. The Blue Jays, I don't know. And it's not really like, I'm not saying they don't have money. It's just like a lot of players don't like to play in Canada.
Yeah. Does Soto want to be, because I know that there's going to be the argument, money talks, biggest money offer. Well, is that true? I mean, because Boris is his agent, yeah, we're all going to assume that. But Strasburg stayed with the Nationals, Altuve stayed with the Astros. Like, there are cases where if the player works, or excuse me, Boris worked for the player, people think, I feel like that gets forgotten sometimes. I feel like some players are like, they're just going to listen to Boris all the time because it's Scott Boris and
Right.
they'll just listen. But there are players that do have the confidence in themselves and they don't care and they just say, no, you're working for me. I'm not working for you. And maybe Soto is that guy. But yeah, Toronto is an interesting thing. I don't know if he wants to be there long term.
I
Where with
can't
New York,
really
East Coast,
picture it.
it feels like that's more of a fit than Toronto would be long term.
Oh, and New York is the perfect fit for Juan Soto, to be honest. He's gonna hit like 40 plus home runs every single year in New
Yeah,
York. Um, and the thing is, like, he's gonna be like marketed as like the greatest thing since sliced bread, which he already is. He was in Washington and San Diego, um, two teams that aren't really like popular teams in the U.S. I would say.
right.
If you're a Yankee, you're a Yankee. Like he's Hall of Fame. Not that he isn't already, but like there's just a thing when you put on the Yankees uniform that just like it puts you up here rather than being anywhere else.
Yeah,
If
I
I'm
mean,
explaining that
they'll talk about it on First Take. Stephen A. will
Exactly.
talk about it on
Right.
First Take, even though he doesn't know what he's talking about, but he'll talk about it on there.
Exactly.
Johnny says the Yankees are offering Michael King, Drew Thorpe, Clark Schmidt, Johnny Brito, and they're not offering that. The Padres want that.
I
No
would
one
probably
wants a
take that,
one.
to be honest.
No one wants a 1-year rental. Even Juan Soto. No, I assure you, plenty of teams would want Juan Soto on a 1-year rental. They don't want to give up what the Padres are asking for. So the Yankees, unless you're seeing something, Johnny, that I haven't seen yet, the Yankees aren't offering that. The Padres want that.
Right.
They want King. They want Thorpe. The Yankees don't want to give up King. They don't want to give up Drew Thorpe. But you're going to have to give up one of those guys in this deal, I feel like. And the Padres, I don't know if they'd be willing to take Clark Schmidt if that meant that they got Drew Thorpe, or they have to take Michael King, but that means you don't get Drew Thorpe. I don't know if they're going to get both. Clark Schmidt, if you look at his baseball savant numbers, I posted this yesterday, it's not pretty compared to Michael King. And that's not everything, but it can be an indicator. And obviously, we can't totally project and know what's going to happen in 2024, but there's a reason why the Padres want King over Clark Schmidt.
The thing with the Yankees package in return that's like the rumors going around is like, how do you not get like one of their outfield bats, like prospects?
Yeah.
I'm
I
like
think
really confused, like how you can't even get like Pereira.
I think
like-
you can. I think the Padres are choosing to go the pitching route
Right.
because they like the Yankees pitching and they feel like they can trade for one of the Cardinals outfielders or they can trade for Randy Rosarena. They can trade for someone or go sign someone on a 1-year deal when they have the Soto money freed up.
Right.
And Pereira, they might think, yeah, we're interested, but he'll be a fourth outfielder. We don't want him playing every day in
See,
left field.
Pereira's a guy that like he won't be a main piece. Where like I wouldn't mind him. Like he was really bad for the Yankees last year though.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that you could put in center field at some point this year. I think he's going to be more of a corner outfielder from what I've read. But I mean, he's got some pop. I don't know how that would transition here, but I think
I was
you gotta get
thinking,
a bat.
yeah. I'm surprised by that as well. But I understand that Padres, obviously, they value the Yankees pitching here.
Mhm.
Oswaldo Cabrera, Preller loves the versatility, and Cabrera can play infield, he can play outfield. Cabrera has the higher upside, according to Yankees fans.
Mhm.
But even someone like that, like that's a guy I think the Yankees would be more willing to give up than Everson Pereira, and that's not even included in these talks.
Right.
Alex says, do you think we flip guys we get in Soto deal to get Burns or someone like that? Maybe the lower level prospect guys. But I think that the Padres for a Juan Soto deal, you're not flipping, Michael King. You're not flipping Clark Schmidt. You're not flipping even Johnny Brito or Randy Vasquez. Like those guys can come help in 2024. It's more of the other, like who are those two prospects that Nightingale mentions there? It depends, I guess, on who those guys are. But I could see that, or it's not just flipping those guys, but adding on a Iriarte or a Mazer or someone in a Corbin Burns deal to whatever you flip to the Brewers. It's not just going to be the Yankees guys going to the Brewers.
Right. Yeah. They wouldn't flip anything they get in return because there would be no point. You might as well just do a 3-team trade if you're going to do something like that.
Yeah. Devin says here, if Soto is moved, should the Padres go after Randy Rosarena. Yeah, I mean, he has multiple years of control, right? I think 2. Let me double check.
I
I think
think
yes, and it's a cheap deal. He's making, less than $10 million a year. I know that.
right.
3 years of control. $7 million is his estimated base salary for this coming year. He's 29, so this is like right in his prime. He's going to be a free agent when he's 32, so that's not the best for him. But yeah, 3 years of control. It's not $30 million a year. I think he would love playing with the Padres, and the personality would be great for the fan base.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I would go
Who
after it.
doesn't want Randy Arozarena?
Yeah, I just wonder what the Rays would be asking for Randy,
Right.
because they're they're a team that does have a history of, they don't win all the trades. You can make the case that the Padres won the Tommy Pham trade, which was Cronenworth, at least on the early years.
Mhm.
The Snell trade, right? I mean, Luis Patino, is he hurt? What has he even turned into?
I think he
He
got
was
Tommy John, but that's a bust of a trade.
Yeah,
Austin
so
Rio.
the Padres can win deals with the Rays. It's
Right.
possible, but there's just a history of them winning trades over the teams that they trade with. So but some of those they traded like prospects to a team and they got back I think it was no, was it Glass from the Pirates? Meadows, guys like that. And
Yeah.
while they were with Tampa, they worked, and so they won those deals. And then, Meadows goes to Detroit, and unfortunately, some things have happened there. So I'd
That's a
just be
guy like
cautious of what you give up.
the Padres are gonna have to reach out to guys like that though, like Austin Meadows. Like they're gonna,
Yeah.
like I think they gave up on David Dahl too early last year. They're gonna have to get like their Nomar Mazara. It's just how it's gonna have to be this year.
Yeah. And, having that depth also outfield wise in AAA, because who do they have right now? Because Taylor Colway, they just, he's not on there
He's
anymore.
gone. Yeah.
Like, it's just not there.
I would imagine Marcy's gonna be in AAA.
Yeah.
Homer Bush will probably start in AA. Liberado's gone, I think. So like they're gonna have to get guys like that to fill out the AAA roster anyway. So
Yeah. JB says here Hoskins would be solid. That's like if they trade Soto, then maybe you entertain those conversations. But I don't know what he's going to be asking for. Is it a 1-year prove it deal? Is it a 3-year deal? Is a team going to, the Twins, like they need a first baseman. I know they're slashing payroll, which pisses off Twins fans, obviously, after what just happened with their team going to the postseason. But what are other teams willing to give? Are they willing to give more than the Padres are willing to give? Are they willing to commit to Rhys Hoskins? Are the Padres not willing to? And, you still have Jake Cronenworth here, and the contract is just starting for 7 years. And I'm not saying he should be the first baseman every day for the next 7 years, but your situation right now is Bogarts doesn't want to move. Kim on the roster for now at third base to start the year, maybe Cronenworth at second. So you have to bring in someone,
right.
but how far away is someone like Nathan Martorella? Are you willing? Are the Padres? I know we're not, but as a GM, you got to look towards other free agent classes as well. I haven't looked, but what do those free agent classes look like? Is there someone that you'd rather go after in the future over Rhys Hoskins, and you can bring in someone on a 1-year deal as a bridge there? So, Hoskins, yeah, it would be solid, but there are question marks. And I think that other teams would be more aggressive with him than the Padres would be.
Yeah, I'm not like too sold on Hoskins. Not that he's not a good player. It's just he plays in a little league field in Philadelphia, and there's cheaper options out there like Rowdy Tellez. Plus, once you trade Soto, you're gonna need a left-handed bat, like badly, because Jake Cronenworth can't be your only left-handed bat. Especially if you're gonna trade Grisham, he's a left-handed bat as well.
Yeah,
so you're gonna have a lineup of all righties mainly. So
yeah, if I look at the first base bats right now, Rowdy Tellez, yeah, that is an interesting name for sure, and that's a name that I would welcome because he's not going to make a bunch of money for sure. Brandon Belt, that's a weird fit. He gets hurt. There's Joey Gallo, no, because I feel like that's one where it's like, yeah, it's a 1-year deal, but a team's still going to bet on the potential of Joey Gallo and give him more than what the Padres should be giving him.
yeah, he got
CJ. There's someone like
$12 million last year, which is
yeah. There's someone like CJ Crone, Carlos Santana. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Then there's a bunch of minor league names. Want to bring back Haas? We're still paying him a ton of money. Let's bring that guy back, huh?
Oh, jeez.
Clubhouse chemistry, because that matters so much.
He would have hit better than some of the guys last year.
Yeah, T-Man Choi with 2 hits.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy how bad guys get when they come here. It's insane.
so weird. It's so weird. I'm just thinking about with the Hosmer thing. The clubhouse chemistry thing was so like played up. And
Mhm.
then he's gone. And then in 2023, his guy, Manny, doesn't believe in chemistry in the clubhouse. And
Yeah.
is telling Kevin AC, what is this, college baseball, high school baseball? So it's like, why did you hold on to Haas for that long?
Right.
It's just weird. And bring him back for April. Bring him back for
Oh
April.
yeah, no kidding. You got a batting champion in April.
Yeah, for sure. And I was also thinking about this before coming on, and this is kind of the last thing here, unless there's other questions in the chat. How far or how in such a short period of time, how just wild it's gotten with this Padres team. I mean, winter meetings last year in San Diego, we were there in the lobby,
Mhm.
and we're like talking about some big names and how crazy it's going to be. And then they get Bogarts on, I think, the Wednesday of the winter meetings, Wednesday night.
Mhm.
And it's like, wow, okay. All these, big names, the Padres were in on Judge, they were in on Trey Turner, all that. And we're hearing about the late night meeting with Aaron Judge. And then, we're at this spot now. And it's like, yeah, Padres, they're going to trade Juan Soto. Peter Seidler's no longer with us. Manny's coming off of a down year, big contract, but a down year. Cronenworth, down year, extended. Darvish, he's coming off of an injury. He got a big contract. And it's like, wow, no postseason appearance. I mean, don't forget about that.
Right.
Josh Hader gone, Blake Snell gone. Bob Melvin's with the Giants now, managing with the Giants. Like, it's just crazy. All these things, if we would have said this to ourselves at the winter meetings,
Oh,
I don't
I
know
know.
if we would have believed all of this stuff. Like, there's so much stuff that has happened in 1 year.
This off season has been what nightmares are made of. I
Yeah.
was telling somebody, and I was talking to a Braves fan the other day. And I was telling him at one point we lost our Cy Young, we lost our manager, our owner died, and we're broke. I don't think it could get any worse than that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's crazy because you had such a positive guy in Peter Seidler. I'm not saying others with the Padres aren't,
Mhm.
where you just believed everything was going to be okay because Peter didn't care what others thought. He was just going to keep trying for San Diego.
Right.
And I just don't know about Eric Kutsenda. I thought he was going to speak to the media when they hired the manager. I
We
thought
don't even
Eric
know how
Grutner
long
was
he's
going
going
to,
to be around.
yeah, we don't know if it's, right now it's labeled as interim control person,
Right.
but the Padres labeled him as the chairman of the team. And maybe that's because they have to have a chairman right now. But it's just like, we just don't know about him. So it's not anything personal against him. And I know he was great with Peter Seidler, long relationship, but it's not the same. We knew who Peter Seidler was. We knew how much he cared about winning for the city of San Diego and cared about people, human beings in San Diego, not just the Padres. He cared about the human beings, and we don't know about that. Does Eric Kutsenda live in San Diego? Like, now he does, but we don't know. So it's a bunch of question marks, just like there's a bunch of question marks with this offseason.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Peter is just like you knew stuff was going to get done with Peter. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's where like I had confidence that Soto was not going to hit free agency at one point because he never lets anyone hit free agency. He didn't
He
let
was telling
Musgrove.
Marty Caswell, no, we're not afraid of $500 million.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
with this guy, I don't know. He probably is scared of $500 million contracts. Like I don't know a lot of people that wouldn't be scared of $500 million contracts, and
Yeah.
it's just unfortunate that he's gone because like who knows if we'll ever get anything even close to that again. And
Yeah.
it really feels like the Padres are back to poverty at this point.
Yeah.
In a way. I know we still have tons of really good ball players, and I think if they fill the roster out this year, I think they still have a shot because I think a lot of guys are going to be hungry, but those big splashes might be gone.
Yeah. I don't want people to think that oh, everything is so bad. I know everything we're talking about seems bad,
Right.
but there's still talent on the team.
Right.
And some might not expect bounce backs from these guys, but I'm sorry. These guys are they're really, really talented baseball players. I'm sorry. I'm going to believe in Manny Machado. I'm going to
Oh
believe
yeah.
in Xander Bogaerts when he's healthy, and that's obviously a question mark. But when he's healthy, I'm going to believe in Xander Bogaerts. He's not going to hit you 40 home runs, but
Right.
I'm not saying that I don't think he needs to do that. Jake Cronenworth can't be worse than he was this past year, and he's not someone like someone that has played for the Padres in the past that's just going to sit there and say, "Yeah, I've won Gold Gloves and I've done all this and I've won a World Series. I'm not going to look and try to change." Like Crony is going to be willing to put in the work. I think that's who he is, and he's
Mhm.
one of the leaders on the team because of that as well. Like I believe in Musgrove. Yes, there's health questions with some of these guys, but I believe in these guys, and I believe they're pissed off about what happened, and hopefully it's not going to happen again. And a $200 million payroll, a lot of teams would love to have that.
Mhm.
And there's some fans that are going to be like, "Don't say that because the payroll, yeah, it's a big payroll, but look at the contracts and look at the players." But why did the Padres give those contracts out? Because
Right.
those players had talent, and I think that they still have the talent there. Last year, it was just something that's feels like never is going to happen again with all the things that went wrong. And hopefully there's more buy-in, there's more, um, not relaxed, attitudes with, at
Yeah.
the beginning of the year and thinking that everything's just gonna turn around and really feeling like they have to go earn everything.
Yeah, and like you said, I think everyone's got something to fight for this year, and that's why I think Mike Schilt is the guy. Because Bob Melvin seems like he has like a chill personality, which is fine. It works with some guys, but I think
Mhm.
Mike Schilt's going to make sure you're ready every day you come to the ballpark. And each guy kind of just has their own thing that they need to prove. I think Manny's going to have a big year, obviously, and his down year is 29 home runs, almost 100 RBIs. Like, come on, you know,
Yeah.
it's not as bad as like we make it sound. We're not going to have Soto on the team. Everyone's going to have to get over that. But we'll fill out the roster. I think Manny's going to have a big year because I think he is going to play in Peter Seidler's honor because I think they were really close. Um, Joe Musgrove, you could rely on to be a dog every single time. Happy birthday, by the way.
Mhm.
And Tatis is not going to hit 25 home runs a year. He's going to have an MVP caliber year. Xander Bogaerts is on the Hall of Fame track. He's not going to let it slide to have a year like he did last year. I would expect Bogaerts to hit at least 20 home runs. Like, come on,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, like, there's going to be production there. Can they
Right.
miss the postseason next year? Yeah, it's not. I know there's a lot of Padres fans that probably don't feel good about their postseason chances because there's going to be other teams trying to improve as well, and they're going to make the big splashy signings, and we're going to sit here and say, "Well, we traded Juan Soto. We didn't make the splashy signings. We didn't keep Soto." But there's still a lot of talent on this team, and you just don't know. Like baseball is such a long season. Get in. Like that's sure we want to win the NL West and all that, but just get
No,
in. There's talent. I believe in Mike Schilt. And I think that, it can't get worse. And last year, yes, they were not an above 500 team. Yes, they finished above 500, but that's not what they were. I
right.
understand that. But I feel like that's not it's not going to happen again.
Yeah, everything went wrong last year. And it's 2023 is just not the year of the Padres. Like the offseason sucks too. But yeah, they all got something to prove. And the MLB's pretty much turned into basketball to where if you get in, everyone's a contender.
Yep.
So divisions don't really matter. I mean, I would love to win the division, get the top seed, get a bye. Obviously, anyone that complains about getting the buys, you advance around in the playoffs. I don't know why everyone complains about that, but yeah, if you get in, you're a competitor. I mean, look at the Diamondbacks. You know,
Yeah.
if one game went differently, the Padres are in, the Diamondbacks aren't in. You know,
Yeah. Yep. All right. I think that's it in the chat. That's all I got. Jacob Redondo, thank you so much for the time. This has been episode 530, Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Winter meetings are underway. Obviously, emergency shows or emergency videos if anything comes out. Preller expected to talk to the media today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Schilt on Tuesday. So we'll see if they say anything of note. Preller, that's probably a no. We'll see what happens. If there's any like coaching staff news, that's going to be interesting. But yeah, it should be an interesting week. Obviously, we're all on Soto watch, and we'll see what happens. Again, thank you everyone for the time, and see y'all later.